Hi everyone, my name is Tian. I'm a PhD student at the University of California, Riverside under supervision of Professor Sheldon Tan. Today I'm going to introduce the EM-GAN model, which is a fast stress analysis method for multi-segment interconnect based on generative adversarial network. First, I'd like to quickly go over some basics about the electromigration. So the electromigration, which is also known as EM, is a physical phenomenon of the migration of metal atoms along the direction of the applied electrical field due to the momentum exchange between atoms and the conducting electrons. With the development of VLSI circuits, the current density increases and the size of the interconnects decreases rapidly, which leads to serious reliability problems induced by electromigration. The EM-induced stress along the metal wire increases as time passing by. When the stress reaches the critical level, a void nucleation appears, which leads to reliability problem. There are many models proposed to describe electromigration, and the Cohen equation, which is a physics-based model, is widely accepted. Many methods have been developed to solve this Cohen equation, and they can be divided into two categories. The first one is numerical method, which includes FEM and FDM. These methods can be used for general interconnect trees, but they are quite time-consuming. The second ones are the analytical methods. These are more efficient ways, but they can only be applied to specific interconnect trees. This figure shows the flow of how we can derive the EM-induced stress distribution. The input circuit design is given to the numerical or analytical solver, and the result is a time series of outputs, which reflects the evolution of the stress as the aging time increases. In this work, we propose to treat this traditional problem as an image-to-image transformation process so that we can leverage EM-GAN, which is a machine learning-based generative model, to substitute the traditional ways with the hope that it can be applied to any general interconnect trees but still achieves high efficiency and accuracy. The reason that we use GAN as the backbone of our model is that it has been proved to be effective in all kinds of image generation applications, such as figure-to-figure, draft-to-figure, and even text and sound-to-figure transformation. So why can't we use it to convert the interconnects with current densities to the stress distribution images? Just like the other machine learning models, sufficient training data is always a must. To get the training set, we first randomly generated some interconnect topologies, and the current densities in each wire segment are also randomly produced. Both of these inputs are given to COMSOL, which is a commercial FEM solver, to produce the ground truth stress results. In this work, we set the time step here to 1 year, and the maximum aging year is set to 10 years. So for each input, the output are 10 stress results representing the stress evolution from the first to the 10th aging year. The problem here is that both input and output data are still saved in numerical formats. To leverage the EM-GAN model, we have to convert both of them into images. To transform the input data into an image, we first project the interconnect topology onto a grid, which has a resolution of 1 micron. After that, the current densities are filled into the wire segments so that the final input image is a heat map of current densities. Same conversion is also applied to the output. The only difference here is that stress values instead of current densities are filled into the topology image. Now we transformed both input and output data into images so that we can leverage the EM-GAN model to learn the transformation from the input topology to the output stress maps. We finally generated 2,500 random topologies for the training set, and these are some examples. As you can see, for each input topology image, there are 10 output stress maps corresponding to it. This is the framework of our proposed EM-GAN model. The generator takes the topology image as input, but as I mentioned in previous slides, each input topology has 10 stress results. To solve this problem, we add an additional aging time input to indicate which year of the stress result is expected to be produced. This time input is then duplicated and expanded into a matrix, which has the same size of the topology image, and then both of these inputs are combined into a two-channel image. Then the generator will do some transformation to convert the input into the estimated stress map. The generator has an encoder-decoder structure, and we also added skip connections to directly transfer the high-level topology information from the input to the output. This actually helps a lot to improve the final results accuracy, and I will show the details in the discussion part. Then the generated stress map or the ground truth from the training set will be taken as the input by the discriminator. The topology image and the aging time is also given to the discriminator as conditional input, so that the discriminator is trained to judge whether the input stress map is the correct solution to the given topology at the specified aging time. The output of the discriminator is taken into the calculation of the loss functions. One thing I'd like to mention here is that the generator's loss function is actually not only determined by the discriminator. As you can see here, we also added the L2 norm loss, which also helps to improve the final results accuracy. For the training of the EM-GAN model, we randomly selected 15% of the dataset for testing purpose and used the remaining 85% to form the training set. The model was trained for 15 epochs, and our test results show that the EM-GAN achieves an average root mean square error of 0.13 gigapascal. This seems to be a quite large value, but when you consider the full range of the stresses, as you can see in the color bar, the stress value usually varies in the 2 gigapascal range. So if we calculate the normalized RMSE, which is the RMSE divided by the full scale, then the average error is only 6.6%. And when we take a closer look at the junctions and terminals where the stress usually accumulates, these two results are estimated by EM-GAN, and these two are the ground truth. We can see that both results agree very well with the ground truth. Then we compared the inference speed of EM-GAN against the state-of-the-art work, which is an analytical method. We ran both methods on more than 500 testing cases, and the total time cost of EM-GAN is 4.58 seconds, and the state-of-the-art work costs 37 seconds. So EM-GAN achieves 8.3 times speed up. But we have to admit that the state-of-the-art work actually achieves better results accuracy. But the time it costs to solve each case is determined by the number of branches, which means that it costs much more time when the interconnects get complicated. While this is not the case for the EM-GAN model, because every input is taken as an image with fixed size. So this is actually another advantage of EM-GAN, since the inference speed is always fast, even when the topology gets super complicated with a large number of branches. As I mentioned before, we added skip connections in the EM-GAN's generator and also introduced L2 norm into its loss function. To see how these modifications can be helpful in the results accuracy, we trained 3 different models and compared their inference results on the same test set. As you can see in this table, the first model is the EM-GAN, which has both skip connections and L2 norm in the loss function. The second one only keeps the L2 norm but removes the skip connections. So the results accuracy is much worse than EM-GAN. The third model keeps the skip connections but removes the L2 norm. The accuracy is better than the second model, but still worse than EM-GAN. This result can also be verified by these stress maps. To sum it up, in this work, we first show that EM analysis modeled by partial differential equations can be viewed as image-to-image transforming process. We then explore the conditional GAN structure in which the input images, which are the multi-segment interconnect topology with current densities, are treated as conditions. To solve the time-varying stress modeling problem, we further add the aging time input as the continuous condition for both generator and discriminator in our proposed EM-GAN model. Different structures of GAN were studied and compared. The resulting optimized EM-GAN can quickly give accurate stress distribution of any multi-segment interconnects at a given aging time. Our test results show that the EM-GAN has 6.6% averaged error compared to COMSOL results and achieves 8.3 times speed up over recently proposed state-of-the-art analytic-based EM solver. So that's pretty much for my presentation, and thanks for listening.